She's a progressive Nashville rocker, activist, and co-founder of the Rise Above Justice movement, whose mission is to support SA survivors. We love talented people who use their own experiences and platform to make joyful trouble. Please welcome Gwen Levey. Gwen, thank you for joining us on the pod this week.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on this podcast and to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. So you are a country music artist who lives in Tennessee, which is not a genre or state really known for its liberal bent. What made you look at all of the styles of music that you could possibly do, and then you were like, nope, what I'm going to do is make more progressive music, but in this genre?
Yeah, so I would say my music falls under the country music umbrella, and my older music for sure goes more into that country music genre, but I would consider myself now more of a crossover artist just with the new music I'm putting out. But I think I kind of fell into country music just having moved to Nashville from college. I started writing, co-writing with people here, and the main genre is predominantly country music. So it kind of just happened, but I was always told growing up, oh, you could sing country music. My big influence in country music, I should say mainstream country music, were the Chicks. So they were very outspoken about President Bush back in the day, and then they basically got canceled from country music. Country music is a genre where you can tell the truth. It started as anti-establishment music, but it has been taken over by this very mainstream MAGA movement. As progressive as I've been in my songwriting, doors have been open for me, but they've also been closed on me.
That I think is actually the concern that I would think of if I was a musician and I was like, oh, I want to make more progressive music in a country space. It just seems like that's a space that, and I know it's changing, right? And I know we're seeing increasingly more diversity, but it does seem like it's one where they're like, why don't you just, sit down and maybe shut up a little more?
Yeah, literally, like, shut up and sing is what I'm told all the time. I was always writing music that was different and writing topics that really matter to me. But when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I couldn't not say something. And up until then, my music, I had a song that was called All the Weed I Need. So I was, kind of going outside the lines there, but like not pushing it too much. But with Barefoot and Pregnant, which is my pro-choice country anthem, that kind of just completely changed everything and put me into that more progressive music category. I am proud of that because I didn't even blink when it came to writing the song, because being a survivor of both childhood and adult sexual abuse, like, I know what it's like to have something happen to your body that is out of your control, and to force people to give birth is just another form of that. We are one of the deepest, reddest states there is, and to get up there on stage and sing a song like Barefoot and Pregnant and be openly pro-choice in the country music world was a risk, but for me, like, I didn't even think about it. I just knew it was the right thing to do.
And I love that you wrote this in the wake of the Dobbs decision at basically the ending of Roe v. Wade, but it also seems that in the past couple weeks it's resurfaced, and I just wish that it felt less relevant, but it actually really feels super relevant at this moment.
Yeah, I would say every single day it becomes more of a reality for women and girls in this country, and it's sad and it's heartbreaking because I wrote this song knowing it was the truth and knowing it was reality, or I should say I wrote it as satire, right? And the music video is satire, but seeing everything that's happening today, it's just completely heartbreaking, and I wish it wasn't as true as it is.
You resurfaced it because the Heritage Foundation did their Project 2026, which includes basically a whole plan to push women in any marginalized groups back a generation or two or three. And as I was watching the video for Barefoot and Pregnant, I was like, did they just look at this video and say, ooh, ideas? Like, that's what it feels like, that they were like, oh, this is great. Let's do this.
And I think people do think that this was made by the Heritage Foundation. They think was created by them. It could have been created by them.
It's a trad wife nightmare.
It is. It really is. It's interesting, even with Barefoot and Pregnant, I wrote a sequel, basically song to Barefoot and Pregnant called Don't Have to Be, which is about the trad wife movement. I don't have to be a wife unless I want to be, unless I choose it. And it's the same thing with, anything having to do with being pro-choice is just letting people have that choice. And the Heritage Foundation is one of the most corrupt organizations that are coming directly for our rights, as you said, like all marginalized people. And unless you're, straight, cisgender, white guy, white
Christian.
man, Christian man, I think we all need to be very alarmed by what's happening. And it's another reason I enjoy your podcast so much, because you bring to light these issues, and also Abortion Access Front as well. It's so important we have organizations like yours that keep speaking out, just as it's important we have artists and people in the public eye who keep speaking out. And I would say every single day I see more and more people speaking out, which gives me hope, but also is a little infuriating, because you're like, well, where were you? But at least
I mean, I think, I've been at Abortion Access Front for about 10 years, and we're, as an organization, we're just a little bit older than that. And I feel like when I started, people would speak in the movement like, oh, Roe v. Wade, like, we have to be careful, like, let's plan for life after Roe. And I was like, it took me a while working here to realize that that was a reality that we were in fact marching towards. It's actually a little insane to see how close we are to this horror, and how bad it's gotten, and how every time I think it's gotten as bad as it could, it gets worse. And again, that's one of the things I love about the work that I do, that at least I feel like I'm doing something. At least I'm talking about it. At least we're surfacing stories. We're platforming people who have things to say. We're reminding people that, like, we don't have to endure this, that we can continue to fight back, which I see you still do with your music. I really loved, when I was researching about you, that you basically looked at right at the time in 2024, when we were all reeling from recognizing that this country does not trust women, this country does not trust people of color, but they do trust and support convicted predators. Well, you founded an organization called Rise Above Justice Movement to speak to survivors. What were your goals when you started this initiative, and what is the work that you do now? And having passed the 1-year mark, can you discuss some accomplishments that you're really, really proud of?
Yeah, so Zachary Mallory founded the organization August 2024, and we connected literally less than a month after that. And then I became a co-founder. And it's really been me and Zachary and Amelia Jones, another co-founder, who have really been building this movement of survivors. It's even bigger than survivors, because we talk about so many things relating to human rights. So October 2024, we ended up having this historic Zoom call that came after a full-page New York Times ad that was taken out, where we all signed our names saying Donald Trump is a proven abuser who has been in office, but we're really worried about him getting into office again. And unfortunately, he was reelected. So the Zoom call was such a big part of our movement, because we had Trump survivors who had never told their stories, that were telling their stories about how Donald Trump assaulted them. We also had Harvey Weinstein survivors as well. And then now our podcast, the Rise Above Justice Movement podcast, we just interviewed a lawyer who's represented many of the Epstein survivors. And we've also talked to the Epstein survivors. It really has to do with justice for human beings in general, just letting us all be able to make the choices about ourselves, our lives, our bodies. It's so important to our organization, and uplifting survivor voices, and also reporting the news that the mainstream media unfortunately is not covered. I'm really honored and excited to be a part of it, because like you said, Moji, it gives you purpose, right? It makes you feel like you're doing something to give back to the world, especially during a time when, as people are waking up, there's more and more people that are reaching out like, what can I do? What can I do now? I'm glad that I can sleep at night knowing that I've been moving, helping to move that, hopefully that needle forward, with just telling my survivor story and co-founding Rise Above Justice Movement, and the music I'm making, just to try to help push society forward to honestly heal from everything we've been through, everything our country has never addressed either. We really need to address these issues.
It feels like part of why things get worse is because, I love that you went back to addressing the issues. It feels like part of why things get worse is that we don't address issues, and then they compound, and then they expand to affect other people. I think we really see this in sort of the attacks on trans people, right? It started, I think, a lot of what propelled our current conservative movement into power is direct attacks on trans people. But we see that those direct attacks on trans people have ricochet and rippling effects for women, for all marginalized people. And it's just, they choose a super vulnerable population to start, but it doesn't stop there.
No, it doesn't. We saw this in Afghanistan too. A lot of men were fine with women's rights being taken away there, but then once their rights started being taken away, they were like, Oh my gosh, why didn't we should have spoken up sooner. But
Exactly.
it is so sad to see, and this is just a pattern, right? A theme where a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't affect me, so I'm not even going to pay attention. And there's things I didn't know growing up that I'm learning, I'm educating myself about. So, we're all human, right? We can't know everything, but I think it's really what you do once you have that information that shows your character and also your morality, as we're seeing.
I mean, we all do have a moment where we learn and grow. And I would actually love if you could tell maybe an epiphany moment for you, a moment where you were like, oh, I thought of the world in one way. And then I looked up and I was like, oh my God, it's so much different.
Oh man. So I have Jewish heritage, and I grew up always being taught one way about Israel, right? And I didn't know everything that was happening in Palestine, like the history of what happened. And so once I was informed and started educating myself, I think I had this epiphany moment where it was like, wow, I didn't even, we're always told Israel is like created because Jewish people and horrible things happened to us in the Holocaust and throughout history, right? But then suddenly we're becoming the oppressor, and that's just not what we're taught. It's a lot of indoctrination that we're seeing any sort of organized religion, right?
That's a good one. I also feel like that's an epiphany that a lot of us have had way, way later than you'd think we should have,
Yeah.
right? Like not just you, a lot of us. So the world is dark, but like we have to stay resilient and we have to stay the course, and we also have to like feed ourselves to continue doing this work, to continue to speaking out, to stay strong, and to support the people in our community. So I'd just like to pivot quickly to self-care. What do you do, or some practices you have that kind of keep you in the fight and centered and grounded?
I love this question because I have struggled with that, especially with the release of the Epstein files. It's retriggering for survivors everywhere. And I can't imagine what it's like for these amazing Epstein survivors that are having to be re-traumatized every day. And so what I do, I make sure I wake up and I drink water, I have breakfast, and I try to take my dog on a walk right away before I get on my phone, before I get on the computer, try to work out and keep that kind of routine because for a long time, I wasn't putting myself first. I wasn't putting my self-care first because I was putting an album out. I was helping organize Rise Above Justice movement. I was doing all of these things except giving back to myself. And so important to take care of yourself and also going to therapy. Therapy is a part of my routine as well. And it just really is so needed during this time when there's a lot going on and it's easy to get all jumbled up in here. And also it can take a toll on the bodies. It's so important to put yourself first every morning so you can give back to the work that you're doing.
I remind myself, not as often as I should, but I do often, that rest is revolutionary and that like the go, go, go actually serves no one, right?
Yes.
And it's such a tough lesson to learn, but as like us busy North Americans, but like there's so many, like we do need to stop and take a breath and walk our dogs and not look at the phone for a little while. So I love that you have this routine for yourself. And I think it's important that we share this with people as we talk about the work that we do, also the ways that we nourish ourselves. So it's been incredible talking to you, Gwen.
Oh, same
Um,
here,
can
Moji.
you tell our listeners how to find you, how to support the work you do, how they can follow you on social media, what you have going on, anything that you'd like people to know about you?
Find me at gwenleveyandthebreakdown.com and also at Gwen Levey Music on all social media platforms, as well as at Rise Above Justice Movement. So y'all can find us there. And supporting my music really helps, and also helping support what Rise Above Justice Movement, what we're doing there, is so important as well. And bringing light to all the survivors, because we're technically all survivors of something, right? And right now, I think we're survivors of what's happening in this administration. And it's nice to have a network and a community of people who are like-minded and really see the world in a very similar way and just want, good things to happen to everybody because everyone deserves that.
We all do. Thank you so much, Gwen, for joining me. I'm so happy to spend this time with you.
Same here. Thank you.